Welcome to another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show, Monday Night Football. We're back on. Liga MX has started a little early this year. It's like everyone's still on their summer vacations when we're looking at it, but we're here. We're going to have a great show for you guys today. Thank you so much for listening to us, for watching us. If you are not by your computer, we'd love for you to join us on the chats here at the Mexican Soccer Show on YouTube. If you can get to the shows, you can ask us some questions. We're definitely be looking for asking you guys questions here on the chats. Let's go ahead and get started. Just give us some. Here we go. Hey guys, I'm Wiso from FootMex Nation. Welcome to another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. This is an hour-long podcast dedicated to all things Mexican football. I like to call it Monday Night Football. So we've got a while before real football starts, but we'll like to take it over right now. Saying hi to the guys that are on right now. Mr. Tom Marshall, who's back from traveling. I know you had a great vacation in the U.S. after those great matches that we witnessed with Monterrey and Tigres and Chivas now in Libertadores. Tom, how are you, sir? Back in Guadalajara.
Yeah, good, thanks. How's it going? Wiso, Naib, Jason, yeah, all good. Little break now, ready. You know, as soon as the game started, I was happy that they were back, you know what I mean? I was happy that they're back and the Liga MX is back and, you know, going back to the Estadio Jalisco on Saturday for the Atlas Toluca, you know, it just gets you excited about it, you know?
We're definitely starting all over again. Mr. Naib Morán en el DF, en el defectuoso, con su foto de Frida Kahlo arriba, ¿verdad? Naib, there it is.
Sí, están. No se ve a little bit borroso. But buenas noches, Jason, Wiso, Tom, and the audiencia that is watching us. I would say overall the football in the first week, I mean, it still had some preseason details. You know, some teams still have to bring in their players, you know, or some players still not fully fit for matches. But I do see an exciting season ahead of us. I mean, I think the league as it is, it's well balanced overall.
All right. Well, we're starting to see, culminating to see with Liga MX, and we're going with Mr. Jason Markwitz. How's it going, Jason?
It's going. Yeah. Let's hope that that first weekend we just watched of Liga MX is not indicative of the season to come, because I think I'm going to be tuning out if that's the case, because it was a bit ugly. So hopefully we do get a little more interesting matches in any kind of way.
It's Liga MX.
I think we will.
It'll get interesting.
Yes.
Like to see it. All right, guys. Well, let's go see who's on the chat. Jesus Vergara, Mr. Ivan Afrozander saying hi. Definitely does a lot of work for us there. Great photographer. They follow him. The Stray Goats is on, and Mr. Joel inviting everyone to come on. Isaac Delao saying hello. All your questions are being answered there on the chat, so we'll keep an eye out for it. See if you have it already. Starting where is Almeida going to Argentina? So there already is a question going on. Who's winning the Apertura? Ivan starting already that this Apertura is starting way too early. So we'll go ahead and get started. What do we have on the show for today? We'll go ahead and talk a little bit about El Tri just for a minute on the scheduling. Going to give you guys an update on the games you have to look out for, so you can already start taking the days off work if you're flying to the games here in the United States, or maybe you're making it to qualifying games in El Salvador or Mexico City against Honduras. We're going to give you some little update and a little bit of as to why it's very important, especially with scheduling when we're having the Hex. We'll go over to some news. Are we going to have anybody transfer? What's the big transfer news for this season? Every year we try to see who's going to move to Europe, or are there any new players? We're seeing some rumors here or there. We'll talk to the guys, what they're listening to and what they're hearing, the press in Mexico and obviously their contacts. And then we're going to talk about the Liga MX. Already started the teams, especially I'm sure we'll round up with Chivas and having some problems at the beginning, America getting it done, and overall, not mentioning León, of course. My team just getting destroyed by the champions. But we'll have a lot of fun, and then answering your questions, of course, there on the chat. So that's our show for today. Hope you join us and you keep asking those questions. But let's go ahead and get started. And the topic to start with is El Tri Mexico. It looks like they were just on. We're still talking about that 7-0 defeat. It's finally going away. But looking at the calendar, I wanted to look at the calendar already to see, especially some of us that have to, look for flights and look for accommodations. I'm like, all right, I know it's coming up. I know there's some friendlies, but I wanted to kind of chat a little bit about it with you guys on the importance of what's happening. So as far as schedule, just remember there's still 2 more games with Soccer United Marketing in the contract that Mexico has every year. At least 5 games have played in the U.S. A lot of people call them the Moleros. We can go back and forth. Which do they help? Do they not? I think with the 7-0 and how horrible we did exiting the Copa America, I'm glad these two games are coming up just to see what Osorio is going to do, just to see if they can rebound, maybe a little momentum going into the qualifiers. So in that aspect, bring on the Moleros, I say. But at the same time, of course, it caused some controversy with the people that say that we're playing way too many games. I know it helps. It doesn't help us with the rankings. But 2 more games are scheduled, and they look like they're going to be in October. I know one of them's already confirmed, October 8 against Nashville. We're not quite sure who are we playing against, but rumors have that it could be the U.S. You can kind of see it, right, guys? You can kind of see the U.S. exiting, having a top 4 finish in the Copa America. We haven't really played the U.S. in a friendly. I think 2015 in April was there a friendly that Mexico played. So there's talks that it could be the U.S. But I do know there's going to be another game happening in the United States. And what I could definitely see, because we want to take advantage of the FIFA dates for all those players instead of having a Liga MX, because we know the turnout with the FIFA dates is a lot more than if it's a Liga MX players. We might see Mexico play another game either the week before. So 2 maybe before that. Obviously, it's the September qualifiers that we need to finish, which is 2 games. El Salvador we fly to El Salvador, and then also Mexico City. So those are the game, guys. In your opinion, Naive, having those 2 Molero games before that, because remember, and you and I were talking about this before the game, the Hexagonal starts in November. So that's 6 games that Mexico is going to have from now until the end of the year. And it's actually just going to be September, October, November. No games in December. But there it is. El Tri always playing games. It looks like we have the most games that of anybody in the world, and still having the Moleros. Is that going to hurt us? But just mentioning that 4 of those games are going to be official World Cup qualifying games.
Yeah, I mean, just following to what you said, a great explanation on what's to come. But a game against the U.S. in a friendly wouldn't be convenient, considering that there's a chance that they could debut in the Hexagonal come November. And I think those friendlies, the U.S.-Mexico friendly, is a waste of time, I think. Yeah. I mean, overall, I think, it's just sort of, I do like how the crowds come together, like it was the case in San Antonio. But in football terms, you don't win nothing out of that game. I mean, maybe you see one player debut and whatnot, but that's about it. What is interesting to see now with Osorio is, will the Carlos Vela come back? Will the Jonathan Dos Santos come back? I think that's something to look forward in the coming weeks. I don't know what Tom or Jason might have to say.
Yeah,
we're good to see you, Carlos Vela. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I just think off the back of that 7-0, I think there's going to be, you can imagine the criticism in Mexico when they announce the opponents. If they're not absolute top opponents, they're going to get heavily criticized, the Federation. You just know it's going to happen. And yeah, with regards to Vela and Giovanni, I think they've still got a lot to do. I mean, if you didn't call him up for the Copa America, then why, I don't know, why is he going to call them up now? I just don't think he likes the attitude. I don't think he's to his liking at all.
According to was Osorio officially, right? The story from the FMF is Osorio did not feel like they were in quality form in order to make an impact on the team. Correct, Tom?
Yeah, but
that's the official story. I'm just giving you
little rumors though.
That's the
No,
official
yeah,
story
but
coming
you
out of
if you
definite.
know what I mean. With the
Yeah.
with the team and talking to the journals and everything, I don't know. From what I've heard, it just appears that Osorio is just not a fan of those players specifically because of their attitude, and he doesn't want that type of player in the team. And I think the good argument to have is, does he have that luxury? Considering the 7-0, considering what went on at the Copa America and all the fallout, does Osorio have the luxury now to leave out a player of the quality of Carlos Vela and Giovanni Dos Santos? I mean, I think that's the question.
And then obviously there's controversy anytime you see Carlos Vela's name's coming back. Not the greatest season, especially last year. Giovanni Dos Santos has just picked MLS Player of the Week, I think, if I'm following Mr. Cesar Hernandez's tweet correctly, and also I think part of the MLS All-Star. So doing what he's supposed to be doing in MLS, excuse me. What's interesting is it's definitely going to be interesting to see, obviously, if those players are called, but more or less, what's going to happen in those two games after the qualifiers, because we're going to see the qualifiers first, and then those two games, and then in the Hex. And kind of like Naib was saying, we could face the United States in the first hexagonal, and it's very, very important. And to kind of spend some time on that, 4 years ago, Mexico played all their hexagonal games just like everyone else in CONCACAF on the year before, which is a full year. I think it started in February and ended in November, which was a lot of games.
No?
Yeah, in 2013 was a lot of games. And if you remember, Mexico was the only team that played 3 qualifying games right before they went to the Confederation Cups. In fact, it was in 1 week where they played. I think it was like a Wednesday, Sunday, Wednesday. They played 3 qualifiers while flying. One of those games, it was against the U.S. And it looks like the scheduling kind of helped us this time, where CONCACAF said, because in failure of almost Mexico missing the World Cup, and I actually do believe that it affected Chepo and affected the players of all the flying around that they had to do 3 games before, then the Confederations Cup. That's a lot of games, especially important traveling to Central America, going back to the United States, and then in Mexico City, and then traveling to June. It was very, very important for CONCACAF to make sure it didn't happen again in scheduling that many games. Now the Hex starts the year before, starts in November, and what we might be seeing is a possible clash against the United States or a possible clash against Panama, correct? Naib, if what you're looking at in the first place is what everybody has?
In that area. I mean, I think it's the U.S. and Panama away, and then it could be Costa Rica at home. And let's keep in mind this whole deal about the chant. What if FIFA bans Azteca for that match against Costa Rica? I mean, it's something to keep in mind as well.
Definitely always see that, but it's important. Like I like to say, it's we want to obviously play whomever we want to play, and it doesn't matter. But especially if coming out from the 7-0, that's definitely going to be important. Jason, your take on the scheduling on all this and what you're seeing that a possibly U.S. clash, and going into it, calling those players kind of on this conversation what we're having.
Well, I just think it'll be interesting to see how much faith Osorio still has in some of these players that didn't really cover themselves in glory in this Copa America. Because I think as much as he let himself down with some of the tactical issues that arose in that Chile match, there was obviously a lot of problems with some of those players. So moving forward, it's going to be interesting to see in these matches, in the Moleros, in the qualifiers, what kind of rosters he's bringing in. If he still has the faith in some of these players, and it might be hard to tell at first, but it'd be interesting to see if there's some new players brought in, what the mix is looking like, and if his kind of hierarchy of what these players look like has changed moving forward. For me, that's all it comes out of these matches, because there's not a lot otherwise. Just kind of seeing how this national team roster stacks up, really, more than anything, and moving toward next year, what it's really going to look like.
Tom, anybody that in your opinion should not be called from the Copa America that's over? I mean, Rafa Marquez, is he really? Do we have the luxury of having or starting someone over what he's done? Because a lot of people said he should have been in that match against Chile and it wouldn't have happened. But yet, is he ready for the 2018? You're seeing anybody that's trying to let go and bring in more of the youngsters. And I hate to say the rotaciones call would be, again, the controversy of him making it. I think no matter what Osorio does, it's going to create, it's going to create controversy for what happened with the 7-0. If he moves some players out of there, if he has other players coming in, or if he keeps the same, it's going to be bad either way. It's a lose-lose situation.
Yeah, he needs to just win the games. I mean, it's the only exit he's got at this moment. And to be fair, the first 2 games are pretty easy, and then we'll see what the friendlies bring, and but then it's that US. If it's US in Columbus in the first game of the Hexagonal, it's pressure. I think Osorio's only one, really another bad result away from potentially going as well. I mean, the reaction after the 7-0 loss was severe, wasn't it? I mean, everyone was heavily critical of it. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of games, 6 games, a lot of games, and then if you look to next summer as well, you've got the Confederations Cup and you've got the Gold Cup again, and you've got the qualifying probably in June. So it's such a busy calendar. And then you've got the Olympics coming up next month. And I think if you look at the roster changes, then what I'd like to see is some of those Olympic guys got to go. Let's see who can step up. But the problem you've got is, and I think it's a problem the Mexican football has, is that there's always so many games every summer that players don't get a rest. So I think players like Lozano, Pizarro, they've been with the national team so long, the under-23s, the full national team, then with the clubs playing finals. I think at a certain point it's down the long run because I think they get weary.
And definitely, something to bring up, especially with the Olympics coming up, and there hasn't been a summer off. I mean, if you're thinking about the last time Mexico had a summer off, because of the Confederation Cup before the World Cup. Before that, I think that was the last year, which was the 3rd year before the World Cup. That's the last time Mexico had a summer off. Now we're going into it. Confederation Cups, World Cup. Here comes Copa America the following. Here comes Copa Oro, and then it's not until it's the business is booming in the Mexican team. And what we're doing.
It is, yeah. I mean, it's going to be interesting with the Copa America as well. I mean, there's all those rumors that that might come back. It's not going to happen in the next couple of years, but it'd make a lot of sense. And I think that looking ahead, the future of the Gold Cup. I mean, I think we said, before that first Mexico game against Uruguay in Phoenix, we were all saying, like, this is what it's about. This is a real game, And then against, the Chile game as well, it's like, you're in an absolute game, whereas your Gold Cup, you have to get basically to the final or the semi-final to experience that, where that you've got a rival. And basically Mexico's always going to be the favorite anyways in the Gold Cup in the United States, no matter who they play.
Apparently
right
the
now.
Copa America also, from what everybody was talking about before the Copa America, if you remember.
Yeah.
Okay, Mexico had to win that Copa America. Now, just to kind of finish with this, on the chat, we already started to see hashtag Fuera Osorio. Of course, since that 7-0, it's still there, and we're looking at it. What can you see the worst that can happen for Osorio? Let's say the United States is faced off in November. We lose. We haven't won in Columbus ever. When's the last time, and this is something I guess from somebody in the chat, that Mexico beat the United States in a World Cup qualifying in the United States? I don't remember, and I think it's been a very long time since we've done it. So let's just think about that. Maybe a tie in the last two qualifying games, which El Salvador or Honduras. Going to El Salvador is not going to be easy. It's always hard going into a Central American country, especially the way they're treated, the flights, not having running water, mariachis en la noche, and all that other stuff. They try to get that extra in the football. But let's say a tie there, not very convincing win against Honduras in the Azteca, and then here comes the Hexagonal with a loss against the United States. When is it? Could you see already someone pulling the plug on Fuera Osorio, especially before that 7-0?
No, yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting scenario right now because even though there's no correlation between the Olympic team and the senior national team, if the Olympic team goes and wins a hypothetical medal, let's put it that way, I mean, it does create this sense that, that team is doing good. Why didn't the senior team do it okay as well with the process and the support? So, I mean, I think that will be interesting to see how that plays out because with Chepo didn't play out well, remember? I mean, they won the gold medal, and then after that, everything came just obliterated in front of us, how the process just went down the drain. So here with Osorio, something similar could happen. But if the players are really with Osorio, they should come out successful in these games. I mean, I think before the 7-0, it wasn't. I'm not gonna say it was spectacular, but it wasn't bad. I mean, it was normal. I mean, he got the win in Honduras, he got the win in Canada. This is CONCACAF play, and in CONCACAF play, Osorio did succeed. He'll have this opportunity in the coming weeks. And of course, I mean, that's a good question that you put out there, Weasel. What happens if Mexico beats the U.S. in Columbus with Osorio as head coach? Does that mean that
he'll
get una lo van a perdonar?
That's actually pretty good. I mean, would you be happy? That's it. Is he finally we forgive Osorio if there's a win in Columbus? Not bad. He already gave us a win in Honduras, right? And we'll see where that's going. But interesting to see. Always drama. People are already saying Columbus is going to be, when Osorio gets fired. From the very beginning, and as much as he wants, I didn't think that Osorio was going to make it to the cycle of going to the World Cup, just the way that he is. But we'll see where that goes. People are already getting antsy on the chat saying Liga MX says hi, guys. So let's at least start going in and talk about it in toward that direction. Before we do that, nobody's moved to Europe so far, guys. So we started getting worried. I mean, rumors are coming in. I mean, is it because the Liga MX starting so soon and we already think that we should have, because there's still a month for the European leagues to start? But who are we hearing out there, Tom? Naive, you're in Mexico. What are you seeing? I know everyone's talking about Irving Lozano. Chucky Lozano, is he ready? Is he not? Especially going into the Manchester United room. I mean, it was almost like confirmed, but not wanting to. There's talks. Then Pachuca said no. What's going on, Tom? At least you can tell us on Chucky Lozano and his move. And then now you start thinking about, is he ready to go?
No, I think Lozano is, obviously we saw on Saturday Pachuca absolutely decimated Leon, and Lozano took 40 minutes or so to score twice, 2 very good goals as well. I mean, I think Lozano's he's there, he's in the picture. I think Pachuca, you got to be careful when you're looking at the comments coming out, who's saying them, why they're saying them. But I remember Jesus Martinez at the end of last season, after they won the championship, he was asked, is he going to be at Pachuca next season? Is he going to, and Martinez was like, I can't see it. It's difficult for Lozano to stay. And I know he's started the season now, but moving forward to the end of the transfer window, I think with Lozano, what keeps reoccurring is talk about after the Olympics. So I wouldn't be surprised if something's already done there. Everybody's keeping quiet. There's a confidentiality agreement, and we're going to see after the Olympics. I think the Manchester United link is obviously there. I mean, all the top teams in Europe will know about Irving Lozano. I mean, there's no doubt about that. They've got the scouting that they have in place now will undoubtedly encompass a player like Lozano, who's already, making full appearances with El Tri. So yeah, so everyone will be. So let's see how the negotiations go.
Any sources? Come on, man. Call up your Manchester buddies. Who do you have over there that you can be like, all right, yes, these are talks and ready to go? Come on. We have you for a reason.
Call up Jose. Call Jose.
Naive.
No,
Is he ready? Like, is this going to be a successful type of Chicharito type of, what can we see Chucky Lozano in Manchester United?
I mean, I think actually with Chucky is different to Chicharito, because Chicharito was just a brilliant, I'd say a year that was brilliant. Actually 6 months where he was just banging in the goals, and all of a sudden he's shipped to Manchester United. With Chucky, I think it's a great process, that started off with the U17s in Pachuca, U20s in Pachuca, then to the senior team, and I think it culminated with the title last season. I think that was sort of the cherry on the top that signified that the kid was ready to go. And I think when you asked any analyst or any former player that played the game over here in Mexico, the best Mexican player right now is Chucky Lozano, and he's been doing that for a year now. The move, I think, though, because people say, well, Chicharito succeeded in his first season in Manchester United. What's to say that Chucky will do the same? What I'm trying to say is that I don't know if Chucky in Manchester United will be able to express his football at his full potential, because I still think he still has to bulk up a little bit. I think the league is really physical, the speed and everything, and maybe going to Bundesliga, where they are. I asked Pavel Pardo a couple of months ago, are there scouts that are looking specifically at players in Mexico? And Pavel Pardo told me that they are looking at players. I'm almost definitely sure that one of those players is Chucky Lozano, because that's the most exportable player that Mexico has right now. So I mean, in my opinion, I'm one that proposes to see him in Bundesliga before making a move to a team like Manchester United.
And that's an interesting point, Jason, in what you're looking at. That Mourinho, right? Mourinho's coming in. How is that going to affect? Let's say it's not official or anything like that, but I kind of concur with, and I agree with Naib. I like to see him at a very lower club, getting minutes. Having a chance, even if it's like a Vallecano, that type of where he's excelling over everybody. Therefore, but going into a team that big, especially in the Premier League, the pressure is on. How do you see that?
Well, I think he could fit in well, but I don't think. I mean, I think if this Manchester United deal comes off, which it seems like there's enough smoke there that's potential to happen, as Tom said, potentially after the Olympics, like that has been discussed. But I could see him coming in, because I think this Manchester United is not the same Manchester United that Chicharito went to. It's different. New regime now, certainly under Mourinho for sure. So I could see Chucky coming in and probably being loaned out at the same time. Them just kind of securing him for the future and then loading him out, because I don't see. I mean, I think it's hard to see him like getting real minutes or real playing time with the first team with Manchester United right now, especially considering the manager and the style that Chucky plays. I think like the defensive responsibilities under Mourinho are really important, and I don't think Chucky, that's really the strength of his game either. And I don't think that's necessarily say he can't play for that team, but I think there's something to be said. It's a little unrealistic for him at his age, at his skill set currently, to say, okay, he's ready to come in and slot for Mourinho with Manchester United. I could see them locking him down and loaning him out for sure. I think that's probably the most likely thing to happen if that deal does go off.
I see what you're saying. Jason, he goes to Manchester United. He talks to Mourinho. Mourinho has tries in Portugal. He goes to Porto. There we go. We just have another player at Porto, and that's it.
Perfect.
We just have the Mexico Porto, and
yeah,
it's like
I think the tactical thing was interesting as well, because I read a story the other day about Hans Westerhoff, who obviously he was kind of mastermind of the Pachuca youth system and putting it in place. And he said that when Irving Lozano played in the under-17s, he was actually left out in the final because tactically he wasn't disciplined enough and he wasn't listening to what the coaches were saying. So the coaches gave him 2 warnings and said, right, if you can't stick to this tactical plan, the third time you're going to miss out, we're going to just leave you on the bench. And that's what happened. I don't think a lot of people know that story, but he has obviously developed since then. But whether his maturity tactically is the same as other players, I'm not sure yet. I mean, that's why I'm desperate to see him in a different league, because we saw him play against Chile in that 7-0, and he was just completely above the ball. He couldn't get in the game at all. And I'm sure if he goes to somewhere like the Premier League, it's sink or swim. I mean, it would be a risky move. I completely agree, but I'd kind of like to see it.
Yeah, it's true. Kind of see what happens. The hype all over again, and especially having Mexican
players. Real quick, because I saw the name on the chat, and let's see how he does in the Olympics. But Cesar Montes is the next one, I think. I mean, based on the characteristics, and based on how he takes himself in front of challenges that are really huge. The guy is 18, and he basically bossed Gignac last season, the best striker in Liga MX. This guy is special as well, and it tells you a little bit of how Pachuca is known for the youth systems, but right there Monterrey has a gem, and the last gem that they had was Tecatito Corona. So also Monterrey quietly, without making that much noise, produces amazing talents.
Yeah, I think I'd add the other two that I'd add is Pizarro. I think he's come on so much in the last this year, and I say that because for me, the problem with that was I didn't know his position. He broke out onto the scene at right back. He played a bit on the wing. He even played as a holding midfielder, and even at left back for the national team. But now you see him as an attacking midfielder, give him freedom, and it's like, wow, this is Pizarro.
I remember
This is where he is.
that old 10. Like,
Yeah.
I love seeing him. I haven't the way what he does. No, sorry, Tom. Keep going. Not to mention that.
Yeah, no, and the other one just quickly is Orbelin Pineda. I think is absolutely the season that he had last season shouldn't be underestimated. I mean, the pressure that comes with moving to a team the size of Chivas compared to Querétaro is huge. I mean, the pressure that kid was under and the way he took on that responsibility and played brilliant football was, I don't know, I was highly impressed with Pineda. He seems like the type of guy who he doesn't really care about, anything off the field. He just loves playing. You know what I mean? And I think those type of players tend to go far.
Well, I'm interested to see what other moves. I always feel like there's some kind of surprise move that nobody ever thought about. Like someone's going to Europe. We're like, where did this come out from? Any other talks that we're seeing? I know that are already in Europe. Hector Herrera getting really close to the Italian league.
It's been a weird summer. Just quickly, it's just been a really weird summer in terms of the European transfers because we've seen maybe coming up to 10 from Europe to the Liga MX. So it's actually been a complete reverse. I mean, players are coming in from Europe to the Liga MX, and no players so far have moved from Liga MX to Europe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, no.
Well, the only one is Castro, who was in Chivas, and he's gonna play in Toledo, which is like a it's not even second division, third division.
No. Yeah, well,
Castro.
I mean, I don't know.
Marquitz, to you, the Italian league, Hector Herrera.
I mean, it would be a good move. I would like that. I think seeing Hector Herrera just in a different setup, a different team, different league would be great. I mean, they're an exciting team to watch too. Napoli, kind of known for that explosive play. So I think it would be a good match. I mean, I guess it's just down to the money. What is the reports just kind of back and forth about the sum that Porto are asking for? I mean, it sounds like it's going to happen based on everything that's coming out of Italy, but. Who knows?
Mexican players in Italy.
Yeah, it's just. I mean,
obviously Rafa Marquez went.
The hardest thing to protect.
For some reason, I don't know why. I feel like, I don't know. I'd rather see him in. Not saying in other leagues, but I'm just not so excited about Mexican players going to Italy and playing.
I want to see some go to the Premier League, and not just because I'm English. But I mean, the amount of money that's now in the league, it's just, it's like disturbing the whole transfer market because of this new TV deal. But I'd love to see someone like Herrera go to England, and also the other thing is you look at the managerial talent that is in the Premier League right now, and it's unbelievable. With Klopp, Guardiola, Mourinho, who else we got? Ranieri,
Conte,
Wenger,
Chelsea.
You know what I mean? Conte. I mean, it really is I think it's the tactical. It's the place to be for this next coming season. I'd love to have see a couple of Mexicans involved in that mix.
I asked what's the best Mexican in Italy that played in Italy, and people came out with Layun.
And the dream would be to see Achach in Liverpool. I mean, that would be special.
Achach in Barcelona. Talk about a dream. Let's have everybody in Real Madrid and Barcelona and Bayern Munich. All right, guys. Let's talking about a weird summer. Maybe it's a little weird summer, and we'll talk about that. Tom, is because Liga MX has started, and let's talk about how early as Liga MX has started. Are there any other leagues that are started this early in the world? Not to mention the ones that already keep on going, like MLS. But Liga MX is already here. Was a month ago, maybe, almost maybe 5 weeks ago or something like that. The Liga MX ended. Some of the coaches are already complaining. It's just way too soon. We're seeing all the Europeos hanging out with their girlfriends in beaches and everyone enjoying vacations. And there it is. Liga MX. I mean, just think about it. Gignac going, finishing that the Copa America final, then coming in and already getting ready to play. Is it too soon, and why is that? There could be some talks as to las televisoras they really don't want. They got to keep making that money in soccer and kind of keep making it in football. They don't have the Olympics because that's what Naive and I were talking about. It's Fox in Mexico and also it's also ESPN.
Yeah.
And TV Azteca, Televisa. Was that purposely done so we can already get some revenue, especially in televisores? Because I don't see why, unless I'm missing something. Because we have complained in the past that Mexico, the Liga MX goes too late into December, and there's maybe the Club World Cup gets involved. But what are you guys hearing in Mexico, and also Jason, your talks too on how early this Liga MX, and maybe it had to do with the quality of play and with.
Yeah, I mean, I think, we definitely saw like a weekend and a lot of teams that didn't look like they're in their best rhythm yet. A short break and a lot of players involved in tournaments and international play this summer. So, I mean, it didn't look, it looked a little disjointed. You have a lot of incomplete teams at the same time, a lot of teams that don't have a lot of their players at this point. So it was a little ugly, but I don't know why it's starting so early. I think we could come up with a lot of reasons, but I don't know if we know anything for sure.
Yeah, I think it finishes at like 12th of December as well, so it finishes early as well. Maybe they wanted to extend the winter break, but the same thing with Mexican football. There's always a conspiracy theory there. You know what I mean? And is it true? Is it not true? It's basically never solved. Always these things are just always left hanging there, but nobody really nails it. But yeah, start of the season. You know what? The thing that annoyed me more than kind of the date of its start is how many games there were on Saturday.
Yeah.
It's so annoying because I went to Atlas against Toluca. And it's like I basically missed all the rest of the games, and then I had to catch up on the Sunday. You know what I mean? Whereas before it was like you had 2 games on the Friday night. Atlas was at 9, so you could watch the first game and then head. You know what I mean? And then on the Sunday there'd be a couple of games as well. And it's going to be like that all the way through the season.
People are asking why.
I think what we're seeing now is TV companies properly battling it out. And obviously you've got Fox there, you've got TV Azteca, Televisa. And now you've got Chivas TV. I mean, you know what I mean? It's all coming together now, and they're all trying to get their own the slots that they want. And this weekend we're going to see Chivas host Monterrey at the Estadio Chivas, and if I'm not mistaken, America are playing at the same time.
Yeah, against Toluca.
I mean, that's the debut for Chivas TV. Is that a coincidence? What's the reason for that? I'm not sure. Again, it's conspiracy theories going on, but it's something we've got to really be aware of now in the Mexican game. Over the last five years, there's been they've thrown all the rules about TV companies out the window, and they're starting afresh. Look at all the teams now signing deals in the US as well. I mean, they're getting more money for the products. I think we're seeing that as well. What we're seeing in the transfer window as well, combined obviously with the 10-8 rule, which has expanded the foreigners. It's a really, really interesting time for the Mexican league right now. It's kind of it's an unknown. We don't know what's going to happen, but I don't know. It's starting to look like it's going to be a league that's going to boom. I mean, I think with the quality of foreigners coming in now. And the money pouring in, or going to be pouring in from the TV companies. I mean, but let's see, it's going to be, and I think there's some very good teams now. I think Naive said right at the start, Monterrey, Tigres are really, really good teams, and not just the 11, but the whole squad. Pachuca, look what, you know what I mean? I think it's pretty exciting times at the minute for the Liga MX in many ways. It's a bit depressing in others, but.
Just add a tad bit there. I mean, another channel that is entering the realm of TVs over here in Mexico is Grupo Imagen, who owns Querétaro.
Imagen.
Yeah, and also Chiapas will also get its games televised on Grupo Imagen's channel. So I mean, it's just it's changing sort of the deal, and like Tom also said about, there's a lot of players from that are South American that didn't do it in Europe and are coming to Mexico. I mean, you see Iván Peris coming to Monterrey, Jonathan Rodriguez, who was in Benfica, now is in Santos. All these players. Enzo Rocco, who was in Español and now is in Cruz Azul. You know, and
Spanish
even
Pumas.
yeah, the Spanish players in Pumas. I mean, it's
Japanese players in Leon.
it's huge, yeah. Japanese.
The Japanese players in Leon.
Ah,
Where did that come from?
just throwing it out there. Our big signings.
No,
Jason, there goes the thought process. Obviously, we're seeing, we talk about the early and the quality, but let's review and let's go ahead and talk about Liga MX and start talking about what we saw over the weekend. All those games on Saturday, definitely. But to you, most surprising results, and I want to congratulate the Cruz Azul didn't lose.
There you go. That is a little surprising. Successful start to the season right there. Most surprising result, I suppose Monterrey settling for a draw at home against Puebla. Kind of a disappointing start for them. I believe. I mean, were they last season? Were they just undefeated, or did they win all of their home games? I think they
lost against Chivas at home, I think, Jason. No?
Did they? Okay. Yeah. So, nonetheless, surprising. Puebla coming in and getting the draw. I know the Cardona red card had a good deal to do with that, but still a surprising result. Other than that, I think nothing really shocking. I mean, you look at the score, the Pachuca-Leon game being a surprise, but again, a bit to do with the red card there as well. I think that the final score in Leon just kind of falling apart a bit at the end. But I don't know. Other than that, I mean, you had the home teams kind of just holding serve for the most part. You didn't have any home teams lose. So there's nothing terribly shocking this opening weekend, I don't think.
Aside from Club America, Jason and Chivas, we'll talk a little bit with Naib and Tom about that. But yeah, it's kind of like a meh type of weekend outside those two. And not, obviously they're the largest, they're the most fan base in terms of fans. But Club Tijuana winning, I thought that was, for me, seeing that on Friday, especially in the way that they won. I know it's Monarcas, but Querétaro Veracruz 2-0, Atlas Toluca tying 1-1, Pachuca and León, which I was definitely very shocked. But at the same time, when León loses, they lose. Like bad. If it's 4 or 5-0. And then they can win next week 4 or 5-0, 4 or 5-1. But Cruz Azul, the tie, lots of ties in what we saw, and that's just kind of looking at that. But again, normally we start talking about, if I remember going back correctly with Liga MX, weekend started, especially with Clausura this year, at the beginning of the year, we're talking about how many goals were scored. Right, we were talking about how amazing it's like the first 4 weeks we're breaking records with how many goals were scored, and it looks like this one's just kind of blah. But again, most of the players aren't there. Well, it might be a little too early. Teams are coming in, didn't really have that much of the preseason and what we're seeing. So, but again, I think the fact that, just like you said, Tom, all the signings and all the spotlight Liga MX, it should be for a great season. But let's go ahead and go into what everyone already started to and talking about in the beginning of our chat, and that was Chivas. Once again, if there's nothing going on in Liga MX, Chivas will find a way to make the storyline, either by winning because it's surprising the way they did it, or there's some trophies talk or whatever, or Chivas will just come in and everyone will laugh at it in the way that they lost, and Gullit Peña missing that penalty kick one more time. But tell me, Tom, what's going on in your there where you live, especialmente con el rebaño sagrado, that fans are just, again, their heads down in the beginning. And I can't wait for Chivas TV this week, and that's going to be the talk. Go ahead.
Nice. I mean, I honestly think that on the field, Matias Almeida has got a decent team. I think they're lacking a striker. Obviously, Omar Bravo's just left. But I think more than anything with Chivas, I mean, there's no way of absolutely proving this, but for me, they completely lacked spark on Sunday. They just looked flat, you know what I mean? They weren't just the same as, they didn't have the same intensity that we've kind of got used to under Almeida. And I think, I mean, how much of that is what's going on off the field? I mean, they're having a bit of a nightmare off the field. I mean, they've got Chivas TV, which, whether you like the idea or not, has been heavily criticised. You know what I mean? I mean, they're getting heavily criticised by their own fan base for it, because people can't afford to pay the prices. You've got, Higuera, the CEO of Chivas OmniLife, coming out and talking to El Russo on Fox and mentioning his religion as to why he should be able to understand the business behind Chivas TV. It was ridiculous.
Wait, what? Explain a little bit.
Well, he was arguing with El Russo
Russo Brodowski?
Yeah. So they were having an argument about Chivas TV, and Russo was saying, this isn't, the people aren't going to be able to see Chivas games. It's supposed to be the club of the people. You're not going to be able to see it. So Higuera was like, oh, you've got like Jewish blood, so you understand how businesses work and stuff. And then Russell, to be fair, was like, what has that got to do with this subject? And it all blew up, momentarily. Vergara spoke to Higuera, but I don't think, and Higuera actually apologized. But in many countries you get fired for that. You know what I mean? Just straight out. But anyway, and then what else is going on with Chivas? Yeah, Omar Bravo. All of a sudden he's there. He scores the winning goal in the Supercopa, and then next minute he's gone. I mean, for me, Bravo. Okay, he didn't score many goals last season. But if you go around the Chivas team, you go to the press conferences, you go to the training, you go to the games, Bravo is the undisputed leader of the Chivas dressing room. He's the club's top scorer ever. And to let him go on the eve of the season like that, or maybe there's friction between him and other people in the club, I just think that it brought a downer on the whole institution. And Pumas got lucky. Pereira with an own goal. Gullit Peña missed the penalty at the end. I think Chivas are going to be a decent side this year, but the threat, as always with Chivas, is that off-the-field stuff with Vergara and Higuera are going to influence what's going on the field, and it's a bit sad, really, because I think they've got a really, really decent team.
But, I mean, above anything else, you have to imagine those players are used to the distraction. I mean, distraction is part of that team, and being part of that team comes with everything off the field. That's always a little bit of a mess. So, I mean, I don't know. You could chalk it up to all this mess, and I think there's a strong case that Bravo move and when it was made is certainly a distraction in that locker room. There's certainly a case to be made for that. But at the same time, I mean, first game of the season at Pumas, there's a case to be made that Pumas make a lot of teams look stagnant in their home stadium, and maybe Chivas just looked a little stagnant in the first game against a team that can do that to teams as well. So I don't know. It could just be a one-off too.
And real quick, and real quick, just to add and let you elaborate, Tom. I mean, there was a case with Jaime Ordiales as well, no? That he all of a sudden left, as taking, he had like a sporting director role in the team, and he left all of a sudden. I mean, those are certain details. And one thing that I want to add, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Chivas makes a move for Cubo Torres. I mean, I think there is a possibility that considering all of this situation that Chivas is living right now, they could make a push for Cubo Torres.
Well, Cubo Torres returned after the way he was treated, though. That's the problem. When he's sent to South America to go bag or something.
I hope that's the.
I mean, I mean, the player that I think would be good is Pulido. I think that if you put Pulido, and if Pulido's in the right place mentally, who knows whether he will be or not after his kidnapping and all that. But I think if you look at the market and you look, all right, which players are a possibility? I think if you put Pulido and Pulido finds some form in that Chivas team, it suddenly becomes a top 5 team.
Definitely. Well, we have to definitely see how Pulido goes. But it's funny how the hopes are these two players that I don't think are going to come back to Liga MX anytime soon. Pulido and that's Chivas for you. And argument of having all Mexican base. America winning. America not having a lot of their starters. And Nacho Ambriz experimenting rotaciones, which is going to be the new Molero. I've coined that right now. But Naive, what Mexico's America coming in expected. I mean, it's not like they're playing anybody. I know that Chiapas can be surprise you here at times, but overall a good start for Los Americanistas.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's over here in America. I mean, I think it's the grandeur of the team, and how it's defined, especially this centennial season. How they should celebrate. There's this idea that there was no interesting signing. There was no Piojo Lopez or Zamorano type of signing. And also, there's not a game to sort of celebrate the event, the 100th anniversary. There's no game against the PSG, which was once rumored, or even a Barcelona that was once brought up, a couple of months ago.
Chivas is playing Arsenal.
Chivas is playing Arsenal, over there in Cali. But I think that's one of the things to see with America. It will be interesting to see what happens on the field. Ambriz is entering his third season as America's coach. I think it did help him, the fact that he won the CONCACAF Champions League against Tigres a couple of months ago. I think that sort of gave him more substance, or more more respect, I think, from the fans by winning that title. And this season, with the additions of Renato Ibarra, Bruno Valdez, it will be interesting. Unfortunately, though, the injury, Zamudio got injured. Arroyo, went through a knee operation a couple of days ago, and also Moy Munoz got a muscular injury that will keep him off the pitch for at least 10 days. So I mean, there's injuries in America as well that could potentially affect the team overall. Oribe Peralta is going to the Olympics, so that means that Silvio Romero will have to step up as forward. And the third week is going to be interesting for America, because they won't have Oribe Peralta, and Tigres will come to Estadio Azteca. So I think that will be a great challenge for Ambriz's America.
Now, how important is this? I mean, everyone's talking about the 100 years and centenario, and this is our season, and we should win or whatever. But I mean, is that really adding pressure to America and the fan base and what you're seeing out there? This is, and I know you're an Americanista, but I mean, I know it's 100 years, but it's something that's just put pressure on, just for the heck of it.
It's added because of the attention that the team, the team is supposed to represent the team that is hated by everyone else, and I think that sort of detail hasn't been really expressed by the club. The thing that America has to focus is to keep on getting into liguillas. I mean, if they get into this liguilla, it will be the 10th straight one. And also, reach another semifinal. I mean, they reached already twice the semifinals with Ambriz. Now the next step is to reach the final and see if they can go for the title. I mean, I think the process here with America is to maintain the consistency that Ricardo Peláez has brought into the team. Of course, it's been Liga MX title came to America, and the fans do want to see that happen. I mean, I think it's the appropriate moment for them to celebrate another Liga MX title, which would be the 13th.
Does anybody else did a 100 year celebration for their club? Like, you have to win. I mean,
It's gonna get awkward in Puebla when that comes up. Is that what you're saying?
Like, I know
Atlas is going on right now. Atlas is going on right now.
They're not really
advertising
it though.
I think the fans have moved beyond the actual winning trophies and all that.
Okay. All right, we're getting into that. All right, well, let's Chivas in America. Let's talk about next week before we end the show. What we're looking at, Veracruz Santos on Friday, and every game on Saturday. Well, actually, not every game, but more games actually on Sunday this time. Chiapas Pachuca, Monarca Querétaro, León Necaxa. Savage right there, León Necaxa, Guadalajara, Monterrey. Then on Sunday, Puebla contra Tijuana, Cruz Azul, Pumas, Tigres, Atlas, Toluca, Club America. Interesting games, right off the bat, especially when you look at what we're seeing in week 2 already. Cruz Azul, Pumas, and on Sunday, I think it's obviously Cruz Azul and Pumas always bring in. But what are you guys seeing? What's the game? Guadalajara, Monterrey, Chivas TV. I'm telling you, it's going to be the story. Freezing in the 80th minute, down 0, happening where some hacker group goes in and messes up. Something's going to happen with Chivas TV this weekend, I'm telling you. And it's going to be the storyline. But what are you guys seeing? What's the best, aside from the drama that outside of football, but interesting games that we're seeing in week 2? Being quiet, we're like,
I think Chivas Monterrey, I think, is the big game, and then I think what Jason was saying there. I mean, I think you can make the argument that Cruz Azul's new signings have been the best of any club. I think they've done some really strong work in the transfer market over the off season. But obviously, you have to produce the results on the field, and against local rivals Pumas, who are also coming in, with a bit of momentum now already after Palencia on his debut got that victory against Chivas. So I think that's going to be a really good game as well. But for me, the outstanding one is Chivas Monterrey. Obviously, two teams you expect to be, in the playoffs, and Monterrey, I think most people would say the best team right now in the Liga MX, or the second best with Tigres. So.
Well, there you go. Right there is what we're seeing now. We can do that. Anybody else?
America Toluca.
Really
America
quick.
Toluca should be an interesting match as well. Toluca not really playing very well in their opening match. Be interesting to see if they could rebound. America, that you could say the same. A bit fortunate against Chiapas. And Toluca seems to always play America pretty strong. So potential for a good match. It's again, like we mentioned earlier, it's a shame it's on the exact same time as Chivas Monterrey, but nonetheless.
I mean, I personally want to see Cholos and Querétaro again, because in my opinion, I think those two teams played the best football in the first week. Cholos and Querétaro. Of course, they both played at home, so I think that plays a role. But with the new signings, especially over in Querétaro with Nery Cardoso was having a secondary role at Rayados, and over here in Querétaro, he's the main guy in the midfield, and you could tell how open he was. He was really great, impeccable with the passing, and that's one of Nery Cardoso is one of Bucetic's favorites, because Bucetich brought him to Monterrey in the first place. So that's a good combo there. And Cholos has about seven Argentinians in the squad, including Villar, who's already naturalizado. Piojo went the Argentina way. He's like, all right, I'm going to just bring all these Argentinians to Cholos and see what's up. And it's working pretty well over there with Caraglio, Malcorra, Aguilera, Rodriguez. I mean, I think they were great pickups for Cholos.
10-8. Let's end with the 10-8. Tom, give us an update. Everyone talking about, especially with 10-8 and the rule, if obviously you don't know, limiting the foreigners. Tom, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
I don't know who's in favor of it. You know what I mean? When you read the press, and it's like you don't hear anybody saying, "Oh yeah, it's really good, this rule." You know what I mean? Everyone's just. I'm talking about the managers and the players. Everybody's
just like. Anybody that said a player. There hasn't been a player said, "Yeah, I like it. I think it's great." Or anybody.
It's like the Mexican players are like, "No, it's horrible," and then the foreign players are like, "No, it's the managers." I don't know. I mean, I think this is an early stage, because I think between now and the end of August we could see quite a lot of movement, because we mentioned these are early days in the Apertura. And so if clubs feel like they're missing something, they'll be like, all right, what's Argentina, what's Ecuador, what's Colombian market saying, which players are down there. But I think the biggest take for me is you've got players like Rafael Baca from Cruz Azul, who was born in Mexico, and I think two others, I can't remember who, but who were born in Mexico, and they're now counted as kind of non-homegrown players. You look at Rafael Baca, he didn't have papers in the United States. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He went up there without papers. He went to university. He started playing with San Jose, and then all of a sudden he comes to Mexico, and he's like, I mean, what's his country? I mean, he's not a U.S. citizen. I mean, he's a Mexican citizen, and if you can't even play in your own domestic league as a Mexican, where can he play? He's going to be a foreigner wherever he goes, Rafael Baca, which seems absolutely unjust. And I think the Mexican-American thing as well, just quickly, is ridiculous. The fact that you have players who have got Mexican parents, which the Mexican Constitution says it's your birthright. Mexican citizenship is your birthright. As much as a kid born in Mexico, I just think it's stupid to take that away from him. Why? Because there wasn't a ridiculous flow of players coming down from the US. There was a nice trickle. And I think that if you want to project the league, if you want to take the challenge to MLS, and in terms of youth development, you want Mexican American players in the Liga MX. You want the eyes from the United States looking the Liga MX and not MLS. So it's kind of like shooting themselves in the foot with the with the Mexican Americans rule. But yeah, those are the two takes from the first one. The fact that you got Mexicans who aren't Mexicans according to the league, and the other is the Mexican Americans who have lost the right to play in this league as Mexicans, which to me makes absolutely no sense.
It just seems like a rule that was created like on a cocktail napkin. Like the FMF, they were just kind of writing down some ideas, and then like they didn't invite the lawyers into the room. Like no lawyers are present to say, "Hey, what happens in this situation?" Like that wasn't considered. Like it's just haphazard. And
the good thing is that I can just see it be like, all right, we don't like that rule. We're gonna change it next year. Like I don't know. Maybe I'm hopeful because I've seen rules and stuff come out and be like, yeah, we're not doing that anymore. Like, they already changed it to 9-9. They're not even following the 10-8. Now 9-9.
I want to see, for example, real quick, what happens with Tigres. Because right there in Tigres last season, the forward was Gignac and Sobis, and then you had Dam and Aquino on the wings. Well, now if Tuca wants, he can have Quiñones on the left, a Colombian, Sosa, Argentinian on the right, Gignac, and also maybe another Frenchman who, the name that's been flowing there, the Lord. So there, potentially, that this famous 10-8 rule could prevent Aquino and Dam from starting roles. Two players that are national team caliber, because Tigres has the potential, or has the squad to have better, on paper. I mean, I think Sosa is better than Aquino, and maybe Dam is maybe close to Quiñones, but Quiñones
in that sense,
Colombian national team.
In that sense, wouldn't you think that Aquino and Dam, in that sense, that scenario right there, Aquino and Dam would want to be better, right? Would really fight for that spot, and if they are on that spot, I mean, especially with Tuca, they earn that spot. It would be kind of funny to have a team that's just foreigners, kind of like Chivas has just homegrown players. Just like our job is to be the foreign team. I know people say that about America, right? But just no Mexicans in one team. Like that'd be funny. Like just have this team. And it will be their discrimination law. Will Mexicans be discriminated against because they can't be in it? And is it that way around with Chivas? I think that's hilarious. That should be a team just to keep dramatic. But a question for you, Tom, that came from the chat. Those three players that we were talking about, they were talking about. Could there be potential lawsuits, or can FIFA get involved in that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think morally it's definitely wrong. From that's my opinion anyway. But I mean, legally, I don't know the ins and outs. But I doubt very much that any of those players are going to file a lawsuit. Why? Because why would they want to rock the boat? Rafael Baca's probably making really good money in Cruz Azul. He started last weekend. His life's pretty good. He's probably a bit pissed off that. He's probably a bit annoyed at not being counted as a Mexican. But at the end of the day, his life's pretty good, probably.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. All right, guys. Well, we'll see where that goes. I still feel like they'll just scrap it next year. They'll just be like, all right, well, we tried it. It's kind of like that. What was that rule with the minutes and the youngsters? Like a while back. I think they're just trying it. They're trying to be like, okay, we got it wrong.
Yeah, but I think the rule came up also because it's so quick to become naturalizado in Mexico. I mean, it's 2 years. And it was getting out of hand, if you noticed. I mean, it was just like, this guy.
But isn't that everywhere, Naive?
No.
We start seeing that they're like the EU passport's 3 years, right?
Yeah, but I think that's different though, because it's the European Union. I mean, the countries are connected.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a different perspective here, because here it's just like all of a sudden an Ecuadorian footballer comes to Mexico and he's Mexican in 2 years. It's an easy process, and I think that's why there has to be some type of leverage there. That's why they went with the 10-8, and next year supposedly is the 9-9.
Yeah. It's quite funny. Two quick things that I just found quite humorous was that they're already talking about the 9-9 before the 10-8 even started. And the second one, they didn't even publish the names of the players. Like, until the day of the first game, and it's like they obviously were just like going through like, what do we do with this player? What do we do?
Carlos Salcido wasn't Mexican. Carlos Salcido wasn't Mexican at one point.
Oh, Salcedo, no? Salcedo's in...
No, I heard. What was that? I kept saying that ESPN was messing up, or somebody was messing up with Salcido, thinking of Salcedo, but Salcido wasn't.
Yeah.
Right, because I'm like, no,
the rule specifies that you have to be specified as a Mexican by 18 in the federation. But Salcido was marked as Mexican when he was 20.
20, yeah.
So it really didn't go with the rules, supposedly. I mean, it's just craziness. I don't get it.
He was watching cars. It was too busy watching cars.
And I know that I was yelling on the radio, I'm like, it's Salcedo, guys. No, but it was Salcido, because everyone obviously kind of Salcedo and Salcido, but we were seeing that. But, of course, the FMF has some type of drama going on, if it's not the Mexican national team, if it's some kind of rule that we're doing that. But that's what makes it interesting. It gives us a talking points. Thank you, Dramatic Mexico, when we're doing that. What happened in the chat? Mexico is England, coming from NorCal Chivas. UK is better off with Brexit. A lot of stuff that comes off with on the chat that we're looking at. Apparently, Johnny Rico he was muted or ignored or banned from was it Moy Munoz's Twitter account? So that's something that we had to mention off. That so important. And also on the chat, Almeida saying that he might go to Argentina. Anybody hear anything about that? Leave Chivas to go coach for the national team.
He's basically just saying he's got a clause in his contract where he could leave Chivas for the Argentine national job specifically. Which
is mostly a lot of. I'm not saying, but I've seen that clause in a lot of different coaches from all over the place. Like, it's not unusual to have that clause.
It's going to be intriguing to see there, because the option, I mean, I don't think Sampaoli is going to leave Sevilla. I mean, it looks like he's already making his team over there in Europe, and Cholo is not leaving Atletico because he's the king at Atletico Madrid. And so that leaves Matias Almeida as an option, and also Gallardo, who both coach, River Plate. I don't know how that's going to work, but with Almeida, it's been strange, because a couple of months ago he also said that the Mexican national team was offered to him. Which is, it tells you a little bit about how Mexico works. It's like this kind of stuff pops up,
Like 2 months of good work, and you get a shot.
And Mexico.
Well, Osorio was in there. Never mind, we already went through that. Bielsa didn't go to Lazio, right? I would think that would be the obvious if we're looking at Argentina trying to go back again, but all I'm saying is Bielsa is available again, and searching and looking.
Let's not go down that road again.
All right, guys. Well, great. Thank you so much for being on, guys. Especially everyone in the chat. I had a lot of fun, a lot of questions that we did on there, and a lot of arguments that are going on right now. Definitely make it on there. If you haven't followed us on Facebook and on Twitter, Mexican Soccer Show at Mex Soccer Show, and also on Facebook and on YouTube. If you have a YouTube account and you're on the chat, please subscribe. We ask that every show. Trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. That's our mile marker. We're almost there. You can watch. You can read Tom on ESPN FC, also on Mexico World Cup. Right, Naib, ESPN FC, doing America blog, and also on other issues, and also Mr. Jason Markowitz, who has Soccer Mexicana. Definitely great. I'll have a chance right now. If you can all subscribe to Jason Markowitz, Soccer Mexicana's awesome email list. Tell us a little about that, Jason, on what's the difference between your normal and what you do at Soccer Mexicana, just to give you a little plug there on especially this awesome email that you have almost all of the great stories of the week, right?
Yeah, so just the best Mexican writing in English for the week about Mexican soccer. So I'm just kind of scouring the internet, finding the best written pieces out there, and then just serving them up in your inbox. So simple email comes once a week, just whatever is interesting that's out there that you might have missed. So you can find the sign-up form on my Twitter, @SoccerMexicana, or at my website.
All right, we'll make sure to retweet that with the Mexican Soccer Show account. That way you guys can encourage you guys to jump on that. It's very awesome. He lays it down with 5 stories and a little bit of recap so you can see that. If there's a lot of stuff going on, you might have missed it for the week. Thanks to Miss Amy Lopez, who is our intern, who I guess tweeted me out that I was completely wrong, saying Ginac went to Copa America. Of course, Ginac didn't go to Copa America. I was thinking a tournament coming back. I'm sorry. That's why. But Amy, thank you so much for live tweeting, and everyone that's been on part of the Mexican Soccer Show, saying hi to Johnny and also Mr. Cesar, who took a night off to go Pokemon hunting. And that's what he said, but we'll have fun here. We'll see you guys next Monday with Monday Night Football, and keep your question. Obviously, send us your question in your tweets. We appreciate, obviously, all the follows. Y nos vemos la próxima semana. Same. We'll try to keep it again at 7 p.m. Apologize for the 8 p.m. late, so you guys in the East Coast. But we'll see you guys next week. I'm Lisa Ford, Foot Mex Nation.